Putin is preparing 1,000 drones per day. Ukraine is responding, clear sky. A large-scale program to intercept Shahedes is launching in the capital. Artificial intelligence is shooting down Putin's drones. Ukraine has shocked the Kremlin with smart weapons. I'll tell you all the details in a moment. Congratulations. This is Ukraine Today. I am Victoria Panchenko. And recent events. A system for intercepting Shahedes using drones is being launched in Kyiv. As reported by the head of the Kyiv City Military Administration, Timur Takanchenko, this is about the implementation of the large-scale project Clear Sky, which involves protecting the airspace with domestic interceptor drones.
On the instructions of the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, we are launching a full-fledged system to intercept enemy drones flying toward Kyiv. The capital is attracting more funds to implement the large-scale Clear Sky project, which provides for the protection of the airspace using domestic interceptor drones.
260 million hryvnias will be allocated for the implementation of this initiative. These funds will be used not only to purchase equipment, but also to create an effective response system.
We are setting up an operator training center. This is a specialized facility where specialists in operating interceptor drones will undergo training. We are forming additional mobile units that will be on duty in the capital and on the approaches to the city. We are working in close coordination with the General Staff, the Air Force, and the Defense Forces to achieve maximum synergy with the air defense system.
Several months of the pilot launch of the Clear Sky project in the Kyiv region have already proven its effectiveness. Nearly 550 enemy UAVs have been intercepted. 550 intercepted Shaheds is not just a statistic. It means saved lives, infrastructure, hospitals, schools, and the energy sector, emphasizes the head of the Kyiv City Military Administration. The Clear Sky initiative is very timely under the current circumstances, as the Russian Federation is trying to compensate for its failures at the front by terrorizing Ukrainians in the rear. This strategic air operation, accompanied by massive attacks on Ukrainian cities, is, in the view of the Russian Federation, intended to force Ukrainians in the rear to seek capitulation. This opinion was expressed by Pavlo Lakichuk, Director of Security Programs at the Center for Global Studies Strategy 21.
An inherent component of any strategic operation is massive missile and airstrikes. And this is exactly what the Russians are using and carrying out. Another matter is that when a single operation is conducted, it is carried out well, essentially. When various forces and assets act together in a coordinated way, according to a single plan, synchronized in time, location, and so on. That is what we call a single operation. But what is happening now in our skies, I mean, not the frontline zones where the enemy strikes with CABs, FAB 300S, and so on, but specifically the attacks on our major cities, on our infrastructure, far in the west of Ukraine, well, this is clearly a completely different component, and it can be characterized as a strategic air operation.
Mr. Pavlo, regarding the air.
They are interconnected.
Yes.
These are not the same operation, but what made the Russians conduct a strategic air operation. Failures, from their point of view, on the battlefield, on the ground, the strategic offensive operation on the ground, the land operation, is not unfolding according to their original plan and concept. It requires resources that the Russians do not have. So they decided that their lack of success on the ground could be compensated for by success of a terrorist nature, so to speak. The Duhe doctrine, well known, that is to force the Ukrainian rear, those in the rear, to themselves seek capitulation.
Ukraine now has interceptor drones that shoot down enemy UAVs while they're still in the air. They are guided by artificial intelligence and are already successfully carrying out combat missions. These drones are not expensive, which makes it possible to scale up their production. You'll find out exactly how this new development works, a development that's already causing panic in the Kremlin right now.
Russia continues to launch a record number of drones during massive attacks on Ukrainian cities. In response to this enemy tactic, Ukrainian engineers have already developed their own solutions. One of these is interceptor drones, which can effectively shoot down enemy targets and cost hundreds of times less than traditional air defense systems.
Based on an ordinary UAV, which can either automatically fly to the sector where the drone is located and intercept it using a camera and machine vision. In other words, when the target is detected, it locks on and is guided automatically.
In this footage, you can see one of the finished prototypes of the Ukrainian interceptor drone. It quickly gains altitude, accurately identifies the target, and destroys the enemy UAV before it can reach its intended target. Its main advantage is not only its low cost, but also its ability to operate at any time of day and in challenging weather conditions.
The interceptors operate within a range of 30 to 40 kilometers. It all depends on their mission. So in general, the destruction of an enemy target is carried out basically by detonating a fragmentation warhead, or as it approaches the enemy target, a remote detonation, or upon collision with the target. The corresponding warhead is triggered.
This type of drone is equipped with artificial intelligence and a camera with infrared sensors. This makes it possible to effectively detect camouflaged so-called black Shahedes even in the dark.
In our case, we are currently training our artificial intelligence to operate in automatic mode. But in any case, it's important to understand that when we talk about countermeasures, it's crucial, for example, that one operator can simultaneously control 10 interception devices.
The development of interceptor drones began back in 2022. Since then, dozens of different versions have been created, but only now, after thorough testing, have they started to be used in practice.
The main task now is to be able to operate up to 3,000 meters, which is the altitude that a Shahed rises to. And we're talking about kinetic destruction, meaning direct hit on the drone and detonation nearby.
Such drones have already proven them successfully in real combat conditions. On the night of Wednesday, the 9th of July, the enemy carried out a record attack, launching over 700 aerial attack assets. Some of them were neutralized specifically by interceptor drones. The main goal for the developers now is to achieve 70% effectiveness in their operation. This will become a key impetus for launching mass production, which is actively being discussed with international partners.
Step by step, we are steadily and significantly closing the critical funding gap for the essential production of vital drones and advanced drone interceptors, and effectively filling Ukrainian production lines with clear, actionable orders. We are also working with our partners to ensure that production in their countries operates as much as possible for our joint defense, both now and after the war.
There are different models of drone interceptors, but those already carrying out combat missions in the sky cost hundreds of times less than air defense missiles.
It can catch up with the enemy UAVs and Shahedes. The cost can range from $800 to $1,200 depending on the configuration.
Nevertheless, it should be noted that in any case, the enemy uses a large quantity. And in order for us to be able to independently scale our capabilities and counter such a threat, we need an inexpensive means of destruction.
The developers are making this possible so that shooting down enemy targets is as safe as possible for the civilian population.
And something like a sophisticated hybrid system is currently being developed, which will either possess an advanced electronic warfare device on it, or alternatively release, specialized pneumatic net that will effectively capture this unmanned aerial vehicle, thereby causing it to simply fall freely because it will completely lose its inherent ability to fly.
According to the expert, there are different types of interceptor drones. Some of them do not explode, but physically push the enemy drone, disabling it without causing unnecessary destruction. There are also developments underway for much faster drones, capable of catching up with missiles and neutralizing them in flight. Dmytro Shula, Dmytro Kurchenko, Rada television channel for the summary program Jedini Holovne.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Russia's plan is to launch 700 to 1,000 UAVs per day. The president of Ukraine noted that with such attacks, Putin wants to destabilize society. But we will respond. If our partners hear us, we will shoot them down, Zelensky emphasized.
7 to 10 hours. And of course, people go to shelters. And that's absolutely right. I am very grateful to them. And it's clear that after this, for the economy to function, people go to work to live well. And they are the ones who drive our national economy, yes, because they work. And Putin understands very well that with these strikes, he wants to destabilize our population. First, we will respond to him. The second thing is they have a plan for 1,000 drones. 700 to 1,000 drones per day. Now, if our partners hear everything I've discussed with them, we will take down all of them. We have a solution interceptor drones that shoot down everything, well, not everything, but almost everything, the majority. We will be able to produce them on a large scale to speed up the funding for these processes. What's important is that the key has been found, and it was found by Ukraine, by the way, and the Americans too. There are 4 companies. One of these 4 companies is Ukrainian-American. The management is American, but the engineers are Ukrainian. We have found a solution as a country. Scientists and engineers have found a solution. This is key. We need funding. And we will shoot them down.
More, Ukraine has already started cooperating with European startups on the production of interceptor drones to counter Russian Shahedes. Dozens of companies are involved in the development of interceptor drones, and they are already successfully defending Ukraine's skies. All that remains is to scale up their production. This was stated by the Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov.
Thank you for this opportunity. Halina Ostakovska, Rametva. I have a question for Mr. Fedorov. And do these new agreements actually include in particular new interception systems for Russian Shahedes or drones that will intercept them? In general, what new advances do we have in the development of these technologies? Because these hundreds of drones that are terrorizing Ukraine are currently the biggest threats. Thank you.
I believe there are new programs that we will be launching in the near future. Still, the function of the Interceptor. These programs, they existed before. And as the President noted, he has already publicly stated that these solutions have been found and are now in operation. It's not just one company that has already found a technical solution for interception. Dozens of drones are already being intercepted every night with these technologies, so now the process is about scaling up, and there are already initial contracts with partners helping with interceptors. So now, let's say, the President's attention and the team working on international aid will only...
They are precisely focused on this program. There is a technical solution, so our grants may change the technology itself. Russia will start launching jet-powered drones, and we will need to counter them with jet-powered interceptor drones. How quickly existing companies will be able to adapt is a question. They are already working on it, but perhaps an additional program will be needed to stimulate the development of interceptors. We will do this together with our partners. They also have an initiative for air defense. Within this initiative, we can look for solutions together because things are changing on the battlefield and in the sky every day, and perhaps we will launch this. But first and foremost, right now we are focusing on everything related to explosives. These are our planned projects, which, even with our partners, we intend to privatize in the near future. Then, factories, the stimulation of factories that produce powder substances. And secondly, these are autonomous means for the battlefield with a high level of autonomy. We will also be encouraging this because right now the key task is to remove as many operators from the battlefield as possible, since Russia is deliberately targeting our operators. And there's also the challenge with fiber optics. The homework that we all need to do is that there is a certain challenge with the KIVs. That's why we have, let's say, a large block of projects there. As for the interceptors, thank God we already have some results which now need to be scaled up. And when this fund is created and we, together with our partners, each allocate 50 million to this program, we will have a strategic board that will decide what we need first and foremost, taking into account the situation on the battlefield. And then we will look for these solutions both within the country and in European countries. This is actually an incredible boost for all of us because up until now, we were only doing this within the country, and those who came to us were the ones we tested. But now, essentially, we will have access to startups in different countries because, for example, there are successful products in many countries of the European Union, but there are issues with regulation and with delivery to the battlefield. And our task, which definitely needs to be emphasized separately, is to build a fast track for testing European technology, because that is an area for us to grow. How can we make it so that we can take any European technology? And in 3 days, it will be at the training ground in Ukraine. and in 5 days it would already be on the battlefield. It has been tested, and a certain report has been prepared for the manufacturer, just as it is already happening today in Ukraine, where manufacturers and combat units work as one team. They are together 24/7, analyzing every video and improving the product.
And what do you think about Ukrainian interceptor drones? We look forward to your comments. Stay tuned for more important updates and don't forget to like the video. Wishing you peaceful skies above.